Hello my fellow watch lovers all over the world. Welcome to the channel. My name is Joe and I'm the Naked Watchmaker. Today the restoration we are going to attempt is on this 1920s vintage Omega pocket watch. And here's what's coming up in this video. Now this pocket watch belongs to a mechanic who inherited it from his father, and it absolutely smells of WD-40 and oil and grease. I've had to give it a quick wipe before filming as the grime was getting all over my bench and my hands. The gentleman who owns it has been keeping it in his toolbox in his garage. He said he kept it with him as a reminder of his father who passed away. He said it started off in a safe place in his office where he would show it to others and admire it. And he would also play with it from time to time. But it looks like he must have left it open at some point or used some WD-40 to get it going, as most problems are solved by mechanics using WD-40. Or maybe I'm just exaggerating with my stereotype. And so somehow he managed to end up in his toolbox on the garage floor, which spelt curtains for this beautiful looking watch. But let's see if we can restore this watch for this gentleman so that he can enjoy it for many more years and reminisce about all the good times he had with his father, and hopefully maybe pass it on to his son. This watch is 100 years old and I don't see why it shouldn't last another 100 years. So as you can see, I'm just removing the crystal from the bezel, and it looks like somebody's glued it in previously at some point. And I'm pretty sure the crystals for these bezels should just snap into place without requiring any adhesive. So I can hazard a guess that this crystal is incorrect or the incorrect size. It's also pretty badly damaged and chipped, so we will have to replace this. The dial, however, is in amazing condition. So firstly, I'll just start off by removing the hands.
What you doing?
I'm fixing a watch, mate. It's a pocket
Do you know
watch.
the password for this? Wait, was this your first phone?
No. You know.
Just want to know.
You just wanna know. As you can hear from the background, trouble has arrived. My little son asking me all sorts of questions. This particular dial has 3 dial feet, so there are 3 screws that you will have to undo before removing the dial. And now I'm just removing this outer protective ring that's made out of brass. Now when removing the crown wheel, Remember, it's a reverse threaded screw.
8, 7, 6, 7.
Mickey's.
Okay.
Also be very careful when removing the click, as the click spring could just fly off. And then you'll be spending ages looking for it. And please excuse the grotty thumb and nails. All this manual labor and polishing, etc., is not kind on your nails. So if there's anyone in Birmingham who wants to give me a free manicure, please get in touch. So the movement is all stripped and ready to go for a bath. And this will all go into my Elma RM90, which has served me well for many years. So in this section of the video, I will show you the restoration of the case and also see if we can address the crystal situation. So I'm just using a bit of soft pegwood to remove the adhesive. Silver itself is very soft and I risk damaging it further or scratching it up. And as I mentioned previously, these bezels are designed with the groove so that the crystal can just snap into place, which is quite evident on this bezel. Oh dear, this crystal is beyond help. There is a large chip on the edge, and also it is the wrong size. So I'll look in my old box of pocket watch crystals and see if I can find something in there. And the reason why I'm looking in my old stock is because I have measured the size of the crystal and have looked online, and the size is a peculiar size and it is not available. The size of the crystal that's required is 43.9, so it's a very odd measurement, and none of the online suppliers I use currently have this crystal in stock. And all the small niche bricks and mortar stores that I usually walk to are also all closed due to the worldwide lockdown. So after searching through a few other boxes that I have in store, I have managed to find this particular crystal. It is the correct size and also has a beveled edge, so it should allow for a good snap-on fitting. However, apart from the multiple minor scratches all over the crystal, it also has some very deep scratches and some chips around the edges. But sadly, this is the best we have at the moment. So what I'll do is I will try and get rid of some of the swirls and minor scratches with some cerium oxide and see if we can get away with that.
But now I rolled.
My workshop isn't set up for lapidary, so I will use an old polishing motor and an old felt wheel. So after about half an hour, I have managed to get rid of the small swirls and small scratches, but as you can see, the deeper scratches still remain. So now I'm just polishing the bezel and then I'll move on to the case. Now you may remember in the introduction I showed you the case which had some dinks and scratches. I'll include a screenshot for you to see here. And the same principle as the crystal applies here as well. In order to remove these deep scratches and dinks, you would have to remove all the silver around it in order to get to the lowest point of your deepest scratch. However, we do not want to lose all this silver, and there is another way. And so the theory is, with soft metals with dinks and scratches, the metal hasn't actually fallen off and gone anywhere, it's just been displaced. So by using a felt wheel with the right speed and creating the right temperature, we can actually move this metal around. And therefore we can rectify these deep scratches and dinks without actually removing too much of the precious metal. I'm trying my best here to show you guys the results, but I do need to get some better lighting in my polishing room. So I've been on this for quite a while now and it's almost done, but you can still see there's a small dink there, so that will need to come out. So that was just the first stage of the polishing, the cutting stage. And now I will put the whole case and bezel into an ultrasonic machine to get rid of all the old cutting compound before I take it onto a finer mop. But you guys can see the results so far. So you can see all the dinks and deep scratches are removed, but there are very fine scratches now from the cutting compound, which we will remove now on the final mop. So I've changed over my stainless steel finishing mop to this precious metal mop. And after another clean in the ultrasonic bath, this is the final result. I must have a death wish here, putting in the spring first before screwing in the setting lever. But after years of losing springs in my earlier career, I'm fairly used to it now and confident that I won't lose it. The spring is still there.
I am nearly done. This? Oh, that's it. They look like paint.
So, not bad for a 100-year-old movement. And a 10-second a day gain on a pocket watch movement is fantastic. But I will still regulate it to see if I can get it any better.
It's open. But there are not allowed kids. Wait, everybody fix this one.
So we're nearly done. I'm just going to put the bezel on and let's see if this crystal snaps into place without requiring any adhesive. And voila, just like that.
What's that? Seiko. A Seiko solar panel.
And so there you have it, guys. I hope I've done this watch justice and I hope you guys approve. I hope the owner is happy with the restoration that we've done. And I hope when he receives the watch back, it brings back fond memories of his father. I also hope he continues to enjoy this watch and admire it, and hopefully he will pass it on to his son and his son will pass it on to his son. So until next time, guys, stay safe, stay happy, and I'll see you on the next one.